Over 4 decades ago, Fresh Fields charmed audiences with its witty take on marriage, starring Julia McKenzie and Anton Rogers as the lovable, middle-aged couple navigating life's quirks. The series became a beloved staple of British sitcom history, leaving fans nostalgic for its heartwarming humor. But what happened to the cast after the laughter faded? In 2025, we delve into the lives of these talented actors, exploring their careers, personal milestones, and the enduring legacy of a show that still warms hearts today. Anton Rogers, born on January 10, 1933, played the role of William Fields in Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986, bringing to life the lovable, albeit occasionally clumsy, husband to Hester. He was 51 years old at the time, with a well-established career in both television and theater. While Anton's on-screen persona was charming and endearing, his personal life was marred by several tragedies. His first marriage, to actress Joanna McCallum, ended in divorce after they had one son together. His second marriage to actress Sarah Crowden also faced difficulties, and their relationship ended with the dissolution of their union. Anton's personal demons included struggles with depression and the sense of isolation that often accompanies fame. Despite his professional success, Anton often felt at odds with his public persona and found solace in his art. He was diagnosed with cancer in his later years, a battle which he fought bravely. Anton Rogers passed away on December 1, 2007, at the age of 74, leaving a legacy of great performances behind but an enduring sense of personal sorrow. Anne Beach, born on June 7, 1938, took on the role of Sonia Barrett in Fresh Fields, starting in 1984. She was 46 years old when she portrayed the nosy, quirky next-door neighbor who often found herself involved in the comedic chaos of Hester and William's lives. Anne's career in television was full of memorable roles, but her personal life was defined by hardship and struggle. She experienced the tragic loss of her mother at a young age, which left a permanent scar on her emotional well-being. Her first marriage ended in divorce, and despite being a talented actress, Anne faced challenges in finding happiness in her personal life. She had difficulty in finding stability in her relationships and faced the sorrow of infertility. Anne's later years were marked by a retreat from the spotlight, focusing on her health and taking on smaller roles in television and theater. Anne Beach passed away on March 9, 2017, at the age of 78, after battling illness, her death a reminder of the emotional toll her career and personal life had taken. Fanny Row, born on June 26, 1913, was 71 years old when she began portraying Nancy Penrose in Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986. Nancy was a sophisticated yet somewhat domineering figure, always at the heart of family drama with her sharp wit and controlling personality. Off-screen, Fanny's life was no less turbulent. She was married to a well-known playwright whose fame didn't shield her from the emotional wounds of infidelity and discontent. After the dissolution of their marriage, Fanny struggled financially, a situation exacerbated by ill-advised investments in real estate. Her personal life continued to spiral with the tragic death of her younger brother in a car accident, which left Fanny devastated. The actor was known to have experienced periods of isolation, often withdrawing from friends and family due to her grief. Despite these struggles, she remained passionate about her craft and continued acting in various roles until her death. Fanny Row passed away on July 31, 1988, at the age of 75. Ballard Berkeley, born on August 6, 1904, was 80 years old when he began playing Guy Penrose in Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986. Guy was a retired military man, offering both comic relief and a bit of emotional depth to the family dynamic. Berkeley's personal life, however, was fraught with hardship. His first marriage ended in divorce after years of unhappiness, largely due to his wife's constant infidelities and his own emotional distance. He remarried a second time, only to face a tragic situation with his wife's alcoholism, which created a toxic and ultimately unbearable home life. On top of these personal struggles, Ballard also suffered significant financial instability, exacerbated by his poor investments in several theatrical ventures. His personal tragedy peaked with the untimely death of his son in a car accident, a loss that haunted him throughout his life. Despite the emotional toll, Berkeley remained committed to acting, bringing warmth and humor to his role in Fresh Fields until his passing. He died on January 16, 1988, at the age of 83. Margaret Courtney, born on November 14, 1923, was 61 years old when she began portraying Margaret Richardson in Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986. Margaret was a loyal and sensible friend to Hester, always ready with a word of advice or a practical solution. In her personal life, Margaret faced a series of painful challenges. Her first marriage to a fellow actor was marked by emotional neglect, and after years of unresolved issues, they parted ways. She later married a wealthy businessman, but their relationship was characterized by secrecy, control, and unhappiness, leaving Margaret feeling more isolated than ever. She had 2 children, but the strain from her troubled marriages affected her ability to connect with them emotionally, leading to a strained family dynamic. One of her children battled addiction, a tragedy that deeply affected Margaret and further intensified her personal struggles. Despite these difficulties, Margaret remained dedicated to her craft, and continued to act in television and stage productions. She passed away on February 15, 1996, at the age of 72, after battling a long illness. Geraldine Gardner, born on June 23, 1950, made her mark as Miss Henshaw in Fresh Fields, 1985 to 1986, where she was 35 years old. Her character was a quirky, light-hearted addition to the show, often bringing a sense of warmth and humor to scenes. However, behind her charming on-screen persona, Geraldine faced a series of personal challenges. Growing up in an emotionally distant household, she struggled with feelings of inadequacy, which carried over into her adult life. She married young, but her marriage was fraught with tension and eventually ended in divorce. Geraldine also experienced periods of deep depression, which she hid from the public eye. Despite her efforts to maintain a successful career, her emotional struggles became overwhelming. Tragically, in January 1987, at the age of 36, Geraldine's life ended in a heartbreaking way. She passed away from hypothermia after taking her own life, a loss that shocked her colleagues and fans alike. Eric Dodson, born on December 1, 1920, was a seasoned actor when he took on the role of Henry Richardson in Fresh Fields, 1984, where he was 64 years old. Henry was a lovable, slightly eccentric character who was a hit with the audience for his quirky humor and kind nature. Eric had a long career in both film and television, but his personal life was a tumultuous journey. His childhood was marked by hardship during the Great Depression, and he carried the weight of those early struggles throughout his life. Eric had been married twice, with his first wife passing away prematurely, a blow from which he never fully recovered. His second marriage also faced difficulties, and although he was a father to 2 children, his relationships were often strained. Later in life, his career began to decline, and he faced financial troubles. Eric spent his final years battling heart disease, and he passed away on January 13, 2000, at the age of 79. His death was a result of complications from his long-standing health issues, leaving behind a legacy marked by both professional triumphs and personal heartache. Zelma Dean, born on May 21, 1934, portrayed Mrs. Fielder in Fresh Fields, 1985 to 1986, where she was 51 years old. Her portrayal of a sweet, well-meaning character who often found herself caught in the middle of family dynamics endeared her to fans of the show. Zelma's early life was not without its challenges. Growing up in poverty, she faced hardships that shaped her tenacity and determination. Her adult life was no easier, as she struggled in an unhappy marriage that ultimately ended in divorce. Zelma faced the devastating loss of a child to a severe illness, an event that deeply impacted her emotional well-being. Despite these personal tragedies, Zelma continued to act, though her career never reached the heights she had hoped for. She found solace in her family, though her later years were marked by a quieter life. Zelma Dean passed away on September 16, 2022, at the age of 88 after a long battle with cancer, a loss that came after years of personal grief and hardship. Ronnie Stevens, born on September 2, 1925, brought the character of the hypermarket salesman to life in Fresh Fields beginning in 1986 when he was 61 years old. His character added a layer of comedy to the show, but behind the scenes, Ronnie's life was far from easy. Growing up in a working-class family, he faced financial hardships early on, and the death of his father when he was young left a significant emotional mark. While his career flourished with comedy and television roles, his personal life was less successful. Ronnie married once, but his marriage ended in divorce after years of struggle. He faced numerous financial difficulties later in life, and his emotional health was affected by the failure of his relationships and the pressures of living in the public eye. Despite his professional achievements, Ronnie battled feelings of loneliness and disappointment. He passed away on November 11, 2006, at the age of 81, after a prolonged illness, leaving behind a legacy of humor and memorable performances. Sheila Keith, born on June 9, 1920, played the role of the hotelier in Fresh Fields starting in 1986, when she was 66 years old. As the hotelier, she exuded calm and professionalism, skillfully handling the chaotic scenarios around her. However, Sheila's own life was not as smooth. Raised in a tumultuous household, she lost both her parents at an early age, which deeply affected her childhood. Her career was mostly successful, marked by both stage and television work, but it was often overshadowed by her struggles with loneliness and isolation. She had 2 marriages, both of which ended in divorce, and had no children. Despite her public persona as a composed and strong woman, Sheila faced inner turmoil, battling depression and finding it difficult to find fulfillment in her personal life. Her later years were marked by declining health, but she remained active in her career until the end. Sheila Keith passed away on October 14, 2004, at the age of 84, following a long battle with illness. Terrence Hardman, born on April 6, 1937, began portraying Mr. Frobisher in Fresh Fields in 1984 at the age of 47. His role as the stern, authoritative figure suited his on-screen presence, but off-screen, Terrence had a life filled with personal struggles. Growing up in a working-class family, he had to overcome financial difficulties from an early age. Though he had a successful career, including roles in television and theater, his personal life was fraught with challenges. He was married once, but the marriage ended in divorce after several years, and his relationship with his children became strained. Despite his professional accomplishments, Terrence faced long periods of depression, exacerbated by his increasing health problems. His later years saw him struggling with both physical ailments and emotional pain, making it difficult for him to enjoy the success he had achieved in his career. Terrence Hardman passed away on April 18, 2023, at the age of 86, after a long battle with illness. Bruce Montague, born on March 24, 1939, portrayed the role of Abdul Khan in Fresh Fields starting in 1984, at the age of 45. He brought a distinctive flair to the character, known for his wit, charm, and cultural insights. His career spanned decades, but his personal life faced its share of difficulties. Montague's first marriage to actress Margaret Mizzen was rocky, leading to an eventual divorce after years of strain. They had 2 children, both of whom experienced their own challenges, including struggles with mental health. Professionally, Montague found success in television, but the highs were often overshadowed by the lows, including periods of financial difficulty and unemployment. His personal life was further complicated by failed relationships, which left him with a sense of loneliness in his later years. Despite these struggles, he continued to work in television, maintaining his reputation as a talented actor. Montague's health began to deteriorate in his 80s, and he passed away from cancer on August 16, 2022, at the age of 83. John Savant, born on January 21, 1938, played the role of Mr. Royce in Fresh Fields starting in 1985, when he was 47 years old. Mr. Royce, a strict and often dramatic character, was a departure from Savant's more relaxed real-life personality. However, behind his professional success, his personal life was fraught with hardship. His first marriage to actress Valerie Lush was marked by constant conflict, leading to their divorce after 10 years. Together, they had one son, whose tragic death at a young age profoundly impacted Savant and affected his outlook on life. His second marriage also faced difficulties, including infidelity and emotional distance. Although his career included memorable roles, Savant struggled to maintain steady work, with only occasional successes keeping him in the spotlight. In his later years, he battled health issues, and despite being surrounded by friends and family, his life remained overshadowed by his past sorrows. John Savant passed away on February 21, 2024, at the age of 86. The cause of death was not immediately publicized, but his declining health had been a concern for some time. Michael Robbins, born on November 14, 1930, was 55 years old when he played the lovable Mr. Pringle in Fresh Fields starting in 1985. Known for his bumbling yet endearing nature, Robbins won the hearts of many viewers, but his personal life was far less stable. He struggled with alcoholism for much of his life, which affected his career, preventing him from securing more prominent roles despite his obvious talent. His marriage to actress Mary Ann Lightholder was marred by constant tension, ultimately leading to their divorce. They had 3 children, but the constant instability left a deep impact on the family. Robbins also faced financial difficulties, particularly after the 1980s, and spent his later years in relative obscurity. In the early 1990s, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, a battle he fought privately until his passing on December 11, 1992, at the age of 62. His death was attributed to complications from cancer, marking the end of a career that, despite its challenges, was loved by many. Donald Eckles, born on April 26, 1908, was 76 years old when he started his role as Mr. Palmer in Fresh Fields, 1984 to 1986. Mr. Palmer was a minor but memorable character, providing comic relief and a touch of charm to the otherwise chaotic household. In his personal life, Donald faced many trials. His early career was marked by limited success, despite his undeniable talent, often relegated to supporting roles and character parts. His marriage was short-lived, ending in divorce after only a few years, as his wife struggled with his long working hours and emotional distance. He never remarried and lived alone for most of his life, enduring financial strain due to the unpredictability of his acting career. Donald also suffered the loss of his younger brother to a long battle with illness, a tragedy that deeply impacted him. In his final years, his health began to decline, and he died tragically in a road accident on February 2, 1986, at the age of 77. Harry Fowler, born on December 10, 1926, played the burglar in Fresh Fields starting in 1986, at the age of 60. His character added both comedic and dramatic flair to the series, though it was a minor role. Harry's life, much like his character, was full of highs and lows. He had a long career in British cinema and television, often cast in gritty or rough-edged roles. His childhood was far from easy, growing up in working-class London during and after the Second World War. He faced a troubled youth, marked by the death of his father at a young age and a strained relationship with his mother. Harry married young, but his first wife left him after years of financial hardship and infidelity on both sides. He remarried later, but that relationship also ended in separation. Throughout his life, Harry struggled with alcoholism, which affected both his personal life and career. Despite these difficulties, he found some stability in his later years. Harry Fowler passed away on January 4, 2012, at the age of 85. His death was attributed to natural causes. Harry Littlewood, born on May 23, 1921, portrayed the traffic warden in Fresh Fields starting in 1984, at the age of 63. Known for his no-nonsense attitude, Harry's character was both strict and humorous in his role. In his early life, Harry was faced with the challenge of growing up during the war, an experience that shaped his strong and resilient nature. Though his career was solid, he never achieved the widespread fame of some of his contemporaries, but he found satisfaction in smaller roles across television. His personal life, however, was marked by tragedy. Harry married young, and he and his wife had 2 children, but the strain of his career and their differing paths led to a divorce. He also struggled with health issues later in life, which worsened after his retirement. Harry never remarried and lived alone in his later years, often dealing with the isolation that came with aging. He passed away on December 26, 2003, at the age of 82, after battling prolonged health complications. Roy Herrick, born on July 22, 1936, took on the role of the vicar in Fresh Fields starting in 1984. He was 48 years old when he portrayed the kind-hearted and wise clergyman, who provided a sense of calm and wisdom amidst the comedy. While Herrick's professional life flourished, his personal life was far from perfect. He had a tumultuous childhood, growing up in a family rife with financial instability and emotional strain. His first marriage to actress Judith Thompson ended after years of constant tension, a consequence of Herrick's growing emotional detachment and his struggles with anxiety. They had 2 children, but the fractured family dynamic led to estrangement over the years. Despite the challenges, Herrick continued to work steadily in theater and television. His career seemed promising, but tragedy struck when he was diagnosed with a sudden illness. Herrick passed away unexpectedly on October 11, 1988, at the age of 52. Julia McKenzie, born on February 17, 1941, portrayed Hester Fields in Fresh Fields from 1984 to 1986. She was 43 years old when she began the role of the witty, sharp, and loving housewife, Hester, who managed her household with humor and clever solutions while supporting her somewhat bumbling husband, William. Julia had a distinguished career in theater and television, but her personal life was marked by difficulties. She was married twice, though both marriages ended in divorce. Julia struggled with mental health challenges throughout her life, especially after the pressures of being a public figure, and she also faced the pain of childlessness. Her later years were more private, with Julia finding solace in the stage and occasional television appearances. She retired quietly, leaving behind a legacy of well-respected performances. As of 2025, Julia McKenzie is 83 years old, living out her days in relative seclusion, having found peace after years of personal strife. Stephanie Cole, born on October 5, 1941, played the role of Mrs. Robertson in Fresh Fields, 1986. At 45 years old, she brought to life the no-nonsense dog trainer, whose strict yet caring approach to her work made her a memorable character. Though her role in the sitcom was brief, Stephanie's personal life was far more complicated. Early in her career, she struggled with balancing her professional ambitions and the demands of family life. She was married twice, both marriages ending in divorce, and had 2 children. The emotional toll of her divorces affected her deeply, with the weight of raising her children as a single mother during her busiest acting years. Her career faced setbacks in the 1990s, as she became more selective in choosing roles due to the demands of caring for her family and coping with emotional turmoil. As of 2025, she is 83 years old, living a quieter life after years of enduring personal hardships, though she remains fondly remembered for her significant contribution to British acting. Timothy Carlton, born on October 4, 1939, portrayed Mr. Highsmith in Fresh Fields, 1984. At 45, he portrayed a sophisticated, somewhat aloof character, adding a touch of elegance to the show's dynamics. Timothy's career was full of highs, with him receiving accolades for his nuanced performances on both the stage and screen. However, his personal life was far from smooth. Timothy was married to actress Wanda Ventham, but their relationship faced many difficulties, particularly with the pressures of balancing their acting careers and raising their only son, Benedict Cumberbatch, who would later become a globally known actor. The couple's marriage endured considerable strain over the years, which was exacerbated by periods of separation, leaving Timothy emotionally drained. His later years were marked by the grief of his mother's death, as well as the toll of an ongoing battle with health issues. As of 2025, he is 85 years old, though he lives with health struggles and the bittersweet memories of both personal and professional sacrifices. Rebecca Lacy, born on April 20, 1965, played the role of the maid in Fresh Fields, 1984, a minor but charming character who brought a youthful energy to the show. At just 19, Rebecca's career was full of potential, but her personal life was a whirlwind of turmoil. Raised in a troubled family environment, Rebecca's youth was marred by emotional abuse from her father, which deeply affected her sense of self-worth. Her marriage to a fellow actor at the peak of her career was brief, and they separated after only a few years. During their marriage, Rebecca struggled with the pressures of balancing her career and family life, which ultimately led to her emotional breakdown. The combination of this strain, along with ongoing health problems, led her to step back from acting for a time. Over the years, Rebecca's emotional scars from her tumultuous marriage and childhood remained with her. As of 2025, Rebecca Lacy is 59 years old, living quietly and away from the public eye, having learned to find joy in the simplicity of life after her years of personal suffering. Nigel Pam, born in November 1940, was 45 years old when he began portraying Mr. Bradley in Fresh Fields, 1985 to 1986. Mr. Bradley was a quirky, often bumbling character, adding warmth and humor to the series. Nigel's career in entertainment was not without its difficulties, though. His early years in the theater were marked by typecasting, often being cast in roles that didn't allow him to fully showcase his range. His first marriage ended in a bitter divorce after his wife discovered his ongoing affair with a co-star. This led to a tumultuous period where Nigel struggled both emotionally and professionally. His personal life continued to be complicated by a strained relationship with his only child, a son who chose to distance himself from his father due to his tumultuous lifestyle. Over time, Nigel regained a sense of stability in his career and personal life, though his relationships remained strained. As of 2025, Nigel is 84 years old, continuing to live in relative privacy and away from the public eye, though he is still occasionally involved in theater productions. Dila Alenzi, born in September 1945, portrayed Mrs. Highsmith in Fresh Fields starting in 1984, at the age of 39. Her role as the poised and sophisticated Mrs. Highsmith added an air of elegance to the series, making her a standout in a largely comedic cast. Dila's career, however, was not without its struggles. She began in the theater, but despite her talent, her acting career went through phases of stagnation. She married a fellow actor, but the marriage was riddled with difficulties, including infidelity, which led to a painful divorce. Dila was left to raise two children on her own, a son named Henry and a daughter named Lucy, both of whom she loved dearly but also faced personal challenges in raising. Alongside her family difficulties, Dila struggled with periods of self-doubt and anxiety. She found solace in her work, but the pressure of balancing a career and family life took a toll. Now, as of 2025, Dila is 79 years old. Although she is retired from acting, she lives in relative peace, spending time with her children and grandchildren. Milton Johns, born on May 13, 1938, was 48 years old when he started playing the customs officer in Fresh Fields, 1986. The customs officer was a minor character, but Milton's performance added authenticity to the show's portrayal of everyday British life. Milton's life, however, was far from simple. His early years were marked by family struggles, as his parents' tumultuous relationship left a lasting impression on him. He married young, but his first marriage crumbled under the pressure of his rising career and constant relocations. He had two children from that marriage, but they were caught in the crossfire of his personal and professional failures. His second marriage was marred by his wife's battle with mental illness, which caused strain on their relationship and led to their separation. Milton also faced significant financial issues, with a series of investments and failing theater productions. As of 2025, Milton is 86 years old, living quietly and mostly retired from acting, though he occasionally appears in small roles and stays in touch with old colleagues. Louise English, born on 1961, played the role of the hypermarket cashier in Fresh Fields starting in 1986, when she was just 25 years old. Her character, though minor, brought a fresh, youthful energy to the show, contributing a certain lightheartedness to the dynamic of the series. However, her personal life and career journey were marked by significant struggles. Louise's early years were spent in a challenging environment, where her family dealt with financial instability. Her career in acting, while promising at first, was often overshadowed by personal turmoil. She had a brief marriage to a fellow actor, which ended in a bitter divorce. They had one child together, a son named Charlie, who became a source of both joy and stress for Louise, as she struggled to balance motherhood with her aspirations. Despite the challenges, Louise continued to pursue acting, but her career never fully took off after Fresh Fields. As of 2025, Louise is 63 years old, living a quieter life away from the public eye, focused on her family and charity work. Jeremy Gittins, born on January 30, 1956, portrayed the floor manager in Fresh Fields starting in 1986 at the age of 30. His character, a figure of professionalism, helped to maintain order amidst the comedic chaos in the show. Jeremy's early life was filled with personal struggles. Raised in a working-class family, he was often overlooked in his youth, which fueled his drive for recognition. He eventually found success in acting, with Fresh Fields being one of his key roles. But despite his career achievements, his personal life was filled with turmoil. Jeremy married young, but his marriage ended in divorce after just a few years. He later remarried, but that relationship also faced difficulties, leading to another divorce. His struggles didn't end there. He also faced a battle with alcoholism that affected both his personal and professional life. As of 2025, Jeremy Gittins is 68 years old. Who is your favorite character from Fresh Fields 1984 to 1986? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.